This project is about looking forward what kind of future evolution of the satellite network in the context of beyond 5G and even 6G. So we're exploring a different use cases, but also possible technologies that would support this new concept. In this context, Thales Alenia Space France is, which has been leading this kind of activities, is providing its expertise in the use case, in, I would say, general guidance on what needs to be done, whereas Thales Alenia Space Italy is performing some more in-depth technical analysis jointly with the other partners.
It is necessary to be aware of the disruptive change that is taking place in the space field, and in particular in the satellite telecommunication, so-said SATCOM. We are moving towards a new concept of space, no longer as a niche technology up to now conceived, relegated to particular uses such as television broadcasting, but towards the integration with terrestrial networks, both as infrastructure and as services. This is becoming necessary to effectively reduce the digital divide, while at the same time extending and exploiting the potential that space connectivity can offer in terms of infrastructure and opportunities. The 5G non-terrestrial network and its enhanced versions, such as the advanced 5G and 6G, have been conceived to effectively allow the integration of accesses to space networks with those to the terrestrial networks, enlarging the future internet access worldwide. This is an opportunity that we have. And related to the possible use case, eager study is analyzing a pool of use cases and services necessary to achieve this goal, evaluating the real potential that this new concept of a three-dimensional network and this protocol can allow and offer as an opportunity to the users, and especially to the market, mainly in the European context, because we remain more targeted on the European sovereignty. The most relevant use cases are those related to the mobile broadband, such as the enhanced mobile broadband, the so-said EMBB services, extending this capacity typically of the terrestrial mobile networks into the space. This is an opportunity, but also new services useful to the society because they are linked to the secure services mandatory for our daily life. The safety services mandatory to manage crisis situation as the one we are experiencing with the Ukraine war now. And another important services represented by the Internet of Things, necessary for the automation of our personal life, for example, utilizing it in the home automation. And our social life. Today, the Internet of Things have a large application in the industrial automation, in the environmental monitoring and other services that we can conceive. This is what concerns the 5G and the enhanced 5G. Now these two protocols are moving toward the 6G, for example. This is another big opportunity that is in following it to the enhanced 5G. In this case, we are enlarging some key capacity and the capability that we have in our target for the future is to embed these services directly in the satellite network, as today experienced in the terrestrial network. We have a lot of services that are viable directly on internet, as the clouding, the proximity processing, and so on. Well, utilizing the 6G objective, we will have also this capability in the space network integrated to the terrestrial one. This is the major opportunity that we are targeting for the near future for the extended three-dimensional internet access.
One of the main challenge that the telecom industry is facing is that the network are at the basis of the digital economy. So, and the digital economy is at the basis of the economy of countries. So it is very crucial to reinforce the reliability and the availability of the network, so that the digital economy, but also economy, full stop, can work and can operate. So this kind of multi-orbit, multi-band infrastructure aims at providing redundant connectivity at all levels between within the network, so to mitigate any kind of failure that can happen between one network node to another. Now, this could be done at the terrestrial level, of course, but given that the satellite networks feature a different kind of risk in failure than terrestrial network, it is good to that the NTN non-terrestrial network will provide this redundancy. But in addition, if you multiply the connectivity path scenarios within the NTN, thanks to a 3D kind of NTN network component, then you will be able to achieve this targeted resiliency of the network. Advanced there are going to be some features that we will try to promote to the overall telecom industry, and let's see if they are going to accept that. But the idea would be to leveraging the initial NTN definition, which has been carried out in the release 17 of 3GPP. We will enrich with new service capabilities, like possibly the multicast broadcast services, so to exploit fully the satellite network capability to be able to address a maximum number of users over a very large area, but also exploit these vehicle-mounted relay, so that the NTN network can provide connectivity to some kind of relay station or access point that would be embarked on a transportation vehicle, whether land based or aeronautical based, or why not maritime, so vessels. So that kind of features we will try to promote. And then later on in 6G, we will try to introduce some more radical changes in the radio interface to expand still the number of use cases that can be provided or can be addressed by non-terrestrial networks. Typically, when 3GPP has completed a release, one has to wait for a couple of years before the products implementing that release are being rolled out on the market. So that could be the same for NTN. However, it takes a bit longer to develop the space segment that would support the NTN. And so depending on whether you can reuse existing space segment, or if you need a new space segment, and whatever, well, also the deployment or the development of space segment will depend on the complexity you're putting on board. So for instance, if you have like pure RF kind of payload, it will take faster than if you're embarking on the satellite, some base station, for instance, which would dramatically increase the complexity. And so you see, we should distinguish between the equipment that are going to remain on Earth when operating and the space segment. And so while the ground network equipment or network nodes could follow the same deployment roadmap or development roadmap as any terrestrial network, like 2 years after 3GPP release completion, the rollout over an existing or a new space segment could take longer. So that, for instance, if we're talking about narrowband IoT, we could expect to have a first service probably first half of 2024 or even end of 2023, because there could be a reuse of existing space segment. For the smartphone connectivity, it's going to take a little bit longer, and for regenerative payloads, we could have services being opened in the second half of the decade.